We've reviewed a lot of tech over the years, from TVs to soundbars, phones to headphones, smartwatches to smart home tech, and these are the 10 things that we cannot live without. Hey guys, Louis here, and I'm joined by a very special guest for today's video and a fellow tech lover. So big welcome to the channel, Mark. How you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, of course.
Love the studio, by the way.
Wow. What can I say?
Very jealous.
Now, as two tech reviewers, we were naturally interested in what has been some of the best tech that we've reviewed, and we thought, why not share that with you guys? So we've both picked 5 bits of tech that we are loving right now, and we think are right up there with the best of the best. So when we say can't live without, we are being a little bit dramatic. It's really tech that we wouldn't want to live without. Now, either they are products that are incorporating the latest bits of tech, or do the basics really, really well. Now, before we get into it, we have an exciting giveaway for you guys to celebrate our first YouTube collaboration. Now, we're giving away a £250 voucher to spend at Smart Home Sounds, and here is how you enter. All you need to do is make sure you're following both this channel and Mark Ellis Reviews, and comment below what's one piece of tech that you can't live without. Now, you will need to be UK based to enter, and don't forget to include your Instagram handle so we can contact you. Full details on how to enter are linked in the description below, and good luck. Also, if you enjoy this video, we've just recorded a podcast over on our other channel, Unit 16, where we spoke to Mark all around starting a YouTube channel, our tech predictions for 2023 and beyond, and so much more. Right then, let's get into it. Mark, do you want to start by kicking us off?
I forgot to bring this home from my studio a couple of days ago. Got home and felt like my life was falling apart.
That bad?
It's that important. It's that important.
Let's have a look.
It's the Logitech MX Master 3S. So I'm a Final Cut Pro user, and without this, using a trackpad I just find too slow. Whereas this, I've customised all of it. It's got 15,000, not that many. A lot of buttons on here that you can customise. I know I've got my cut button, I've got my delete button. It's amazing just how you get. It becomes like another limb basically. And joking apart, it genuinely felt like I couldn't do my work.
And I'm just using a very bog standard Magic Mouse for all of our editing. So this has been genuinely something that I feel like I need to upgrade when I come to do my desk setup.
Please do. But I don't think you can not put that in your hand and not say that it
does feel good.
Do you think?
And do you know the one thing that really annoys me? And I notice here, so this is USB-C charging.
It is.
Can you charge it whilst you use it?
And unlike the Magic Mouse, you don't have to put it upside down to charge it.
What's the battery life like on this?
Really good.
Yeah?
Epic. It goes on for months and months. Yeah.
Does it?
Yeah. I'm not sure what the battery, I mean, perhaps we can put it in the description, but I know from my perspective, it's literally months it seems to go between charges. So,
yeah.
Brilliant.
This is the Whoop. Now, this is something that I've had for probably 3 or 4 months now. No screen, no display, nothing. This is pure and simply just a fabric band. Getting into my health and fitness and running, and also just wanted to keep track of my health metrics. So this right here, this is the battery for it. It's all waterproof basically. So I could go in the shower, have this charging, whatever. You can kind of sleep with the charger on. It probably takes a couple of hours to go from 0 to full. Lasts around about 4 to 5 days in total. So essentially, we've got an overview screen here, and this tells me my strain for the day, my sleep performance, my variable heart rate, or HRV, which is like a health indicator metric, as well as my recovery. So obviously, as you can see at the moment, things aren't looking great. I was so nervous about today's video and meeting you, then I just got no sleep last night. So. I do notice with other wearable tech, it does get to a point where you do notice it. It's a bit annoying to carry around, but this genuinely is just put it on, and I've genuinely not taken this off in about 4 months.
I did have one for about 3 months. I reviewed it, and it's brilliant. I think you're right. I think that the metrics you can get a bit lost in.
Yeah.
I don't understand most of them, and also I had the problem with the sleep thing. I don't get. I know I don't get enough sleep, so it's more confirmation of it. But the thing with Whoop is that it tells you when to go to bed.
Yeah. And
it told me to go to bed at 4 o'clock most days. That's how bad my sleep was. The other thing I wasn't too keen on with it, just kind of play devil's advocate, is the charging puck. Because, and this is partly my fault. It's not really fair to blame it for this, but I lost that.
Yeah.
And when you lose it, you can't charge it.
And that was one thing that I did think I would love if there was some sort of way they could integrate maybe a little USB-C charger on the underside or something like that. Because like you said, this is so easily lost.
It's the reason you see people like Toto Wolff wearing them, and you know, like I say, athletes, because it is genuinely kind of informative with the data and stuff.
Yeah.
But for me, it was just too much. I came to that conclusion that
it
wouldn't have made sense for me to have it and invest in it really. But for the right people, it's amazing. I've started doing a lot of vlogging style content for the channel.
Yeah.
Normally I'd be like this, sat in a studio with a static camera, which I still do most of. But there has been these instances where I've gone out with a camera talking to myself in public. Yeah. And I used to do that with my great big FX3 camera and a great big mic and all the rest of it, and just look like a very strange person walking down the road. But I had the chance to work with DJI a little while ago, and I thought, why not, because I don't have a helicopter or a snowboard, I don't want to kill myself, why not just do something fairly normal with it and try vlogging with it? Sure. So I did that throughout the entire video, and I was absolutely amazed with what this thing did. Yeah. The reason it works for it is because, one, the stabilization, which is just, as you would expect from DJI, amazing. Image quality is great, really good. The battery life is superb, and you can just chuck it around. You don't have to worry about it because it's built for action, obviously. And it's inconspicuous. You know, walking around a city centre holding that like that,
a lot more straightforward.
Less like an idiot. The mic on this is incredible.
And just straight out.
Really, surprisingly good. Took it to the lakes recently, and in fairness, it did all of the audio in that video was with that mic.
Really?
And it worked, to be fair, it worked. But everything else is on this, including the audio. Obviously, along with this, you can get the battery pack, which has like
cool.
3 batteries in there, charges it as well, which is nice.
What would you say is the average battery life, just if you were to leave this running?
It's got 160 minutes per battery, I think. But that lakes trip I did, I think it was 2 days, loads of shooting, loads of vlogging shooting. I got through 2 batteries. If you're a filmmaker, if you're a YouTuber, having those in your backpack is just, you'll thank yourself for having them, basically.
That's where the budget's got to go next.
Too right.
So this has been probably one of my favourite Sonos products, actually. So this obviously launched a couple of months ago now, and it's Sonos's first ever Dolby Atmos speaker. I have genuinely, since having this at home, gone back and probably re-listened to absolutely everything that I've ever listened to before. Okay. Because you just hear things in this speaker, like going from, so I originally had the Sonos 1 Gen 2, and that was what I was using just as a listening setup. But then to have this on, like everything sounds so much better. There's all these little nuances, these little details that you don't quite pick up or didn't the first time around when you listened. And so I've genuinely gone back and listened to everything again. I think, like, what more could you actually want from a speaker if that's the effect that it's having? As like a music listening setup, having 2 of them side by side is ridiculously impressive, super immersive. And like I said, I'm just listening to stuff over and over. But the versatility of this means also we can use this as rears with an Atmos-enabled Sonos soundbar, so like the Beam or the Arc. Now we've got 2 of these set up over in our showroom with the Arc.
They're serious rear speakers though, aren't they? Using those for your rears, that's flexing, isn't it?
Yeah.
As the kids say.
It is a bit, and I think for a lot of spaces, it probably is overkill. But if you want that Atmos effect and that performance, then I really don't think you can look much further than this.
The thing I love about it is its smart home capabilities. Just as an assistant, because it's got built in as well, which I mainly use it for that, actually. It's the best Amazon Echo style device I've ever had, even though it's not an Echo. I love it. You don't have to convince me with this one.
Sold on that one.
I'm sold. Apple have always done this thing with iPads where they've had quite a big range. It's quite difficult to get your head around which one you want. But then you've got this. The reason it works, I think, is because it's a bit of an outlier. There's not an iPad Mini Pro or an iPad Mini Air. It's just the iPad Mini. You buy the storage you want, etc. Getting to the point now where it's due an upgrade. So if you are going to buy one, maybe wait a bit. Funnily enough, I took this to Brussels earlier this year. As a bit of a test, and just took this. Didn't take a MacBook, which for me it's a bit like the mouse, give me cold sweats. But I took it with me for 3 days and did everything on it. So I did, apart from video editing, I didn't do that, but I did writing, all my kind of admin type stuff. But I filmed the video about this on this, solely on this. It's just very convenient, I think. It's very quick. I mean, all iPads are fast. Apple is, I think, and this will spark some comments, I'm sure. I do think Apple is so far ahead when it comes to silicon in this stuff. To their detriment, really. I think quite often it's too powerful. They're not doing enough with it. It's not cheap. You're still talking, fairly decent money for these, really.
Like you said earlier, then. So this has been out for a few years. So is it likely that we'll hopefully see a refresh of this at some point soon?
Who knows with Apple? They surprise us with this stuff. I think we'll probably see something. Maybe a minor spec bump this year. If not, probably something more significant next year. And just very quickly, the reason this is technically 2 products.
I'm excited to see this.
This is a Moft case, and it's they call it, I don't know if it is the world's first origami case, or if the world even needed an origami case. But
we've got one.
We've got one. But it has this very cool
Yeah,
feature where you can do that,
Love
which
that.
is actually very useful. I use it for reading scripts and stuff, and yeah, that is the iPad to get, basically. So if you're going to get one, Louis,
That's the one to go for.
I'd get one of those, yeah.
All right then, Mark, so next up, another wearable for me, the Apple Watch Ultra.
Ironically, I'm not wearing it today, but that is normally my main watch.
Your go-to?
Yep.
Yeah, kind of in relation to the Whoop that we've just spoken about. Doing all of this training, whatever, having this smartwatch has been invaluable. Now, I'm heavily invested in the Apple ecosystem, so this obviously just fits very seamlessly into my lifestyle. As much as I like the Whoop for what it does and the detail that it goes into, the Apple Watch Ultra is far more responsive. It's real-time data that I'm getting back. So I really do feel like I couldn't just rely on the Whoop. I need this as part of my setup as well. Obviously, being an Apple fanboy, I just really appreciate the design of this thing as well.
Yeah. The way that Apple markets this, you get the impression that you've got to be someone who regularly contacts base camp from the top of Everest and does 15-day runs and all that sort of, and they're genuinely pitching it towards those people. The issue with it is that when you start comparing it against the other watches on the market that are designed and have been around for a long time to deal with those really extreme conditions, it completely falls apart. And that it's not a bad thing for the Apple Watch Ultra, because like we've just said, I don't think anyone is buying this to do that, or very, because people who are doing that stuff have Garmin's and that kind of thing. But they're very different devices, they're very different watches. And I think the Apple Watch Ultra demonstrates that battery tech is still some way behind Apple's ambitions with this. I think over the next few years we'll see versions of this that will come much closer to the Garmin's.
I do think it's a fantastic product, and it is something that genuinely, the more I've had it, the more time I've had with it, the more I realise that I'm reliant on it.
Yeah, it's big as well. It's worth mentioning that if you're thinking about buying this.
But I suppose if you've got massive arms like I have, then it's not too much of a problem.
I didn't expect to bring these with me, but I have, because they've just worked their way into my life. These are the 4th generation, so first generation came out in 2009, I think.
Were they the ones with the red cable?
Red cable. They weren't wireless. No. They had noise cancelling back then, which was a big deal back then. Obviously, famously, they were backed by Dr. Dre and Jimmy Iovine. It's still very much got this signature sound that they talk about. So they're quite bright. There is a lot of kind of low frequencies going on, but it's not overpowering. It's not as bad as it used to be. So sound-wise, I think it's good enough for most types of music.
How do you get on? Like, are you using these for extended periods of time? Like, do you edit with these? Are you?
So I use it for that, but I tend to use them mostly for which they're intended, really, which is just working and getting into like a focus mode and kind of shutting myself off from the world. So for that reason, I wear them for extended periods of time, and they're very comfortable. They've got very good compatibility with both Apple and Android, so they've got the ecosystem stuff with both of those platforms. But the thing that really did it for me, and this is me again going down a slightly boring route, but what I genuinely think is the more important route, and we've talked about this behind the scenes today, which is the case.
The case.
I mean, have you ever seen a headphone case like that before?
No.
It's like a wash bag, isn't it?
Yeah.
Mini wash
Little
bag.
travel bag.
Yeah. So as a package, I mean, the noise cancelling is good. It's not as good as the XM5s, ironically, but it's good enough. If you want to take calls on them, which I don't tend to do, they work fine for that. But as a